Meet Tommy Riley, a regular high school kid whose life is about to take a dramatic turn. When he's suddenly forced to move to a new neighborhood with his dad, he finds himself in a place where danger lurks around every corner and gang activity is just part of daily life. This is black gang turf, keep your white self away from our hoops, one local warns him. On his very first day, 3 local tough guys decide to make his life miserable, and wouldn't you know it, they end up being his classmates. Tommy tries to keep the peace, playing musical chairs as these bullies force him to switch seats again and again, but by the 4th time, something in him snaps. When they demand, "I'm in your seat," Tommy finally stands his ground. Just as fists are about to fly, a teacher walks in, putting the fight on hold, though the bullies make it clear this isn't over. During break time, these guys come back with reinforcements, but Tommy catches an unexpected break when a rival gang crashes their little welcome party. Just that day, 2 gang leaders duke it out in front of everyone, and one of them isn't afraid to pull out a blade. Only the teacher's arrival puts a stop to that mess. But Tommy's problems don't end at school. Back home, he's got to face down debt collectors, armed and dangerous, looking for his dad. See, after Tommy's mom passed away, his father fell into gambling, racking up serious debts. That's the real reason they moved. While these collectors don't hurt Tommy, they make it crystal clear, his dad better pay up, and soon. That night, Tommy's dad comes home and tries to have a heart-to-heart about Tommy's first day at school. Though Tommy initially tries to brush everything off as fine, his father sees right through it. When Tommy finally comes clean about the debt collector's visit, his dad breaks down, realizing how his mistakes have turned their lives upside down. "I'm sorry to drag you into this mess," his father confesses, before revealing a glimmer of hope. He's landed a high-paying job in another city. "I'm awake now," he promises Tommy. "No more drinking, no more gambling. This is our chance to start fresh." Tommy, being more mature than his years, doesn't mind holding down the fort alone. He even takes initiative, landing a dishwashing gig at a local restaurant owned by his classmates' folks. But wouldn't you know it, those same bullies from school show up one night, ready to pick up right where they left off. At first, Tommy tries to keep his cool, but when these jerks knock him to the ground, sporting those smug grins, taking down 2 of them with solid punches. Just as he's about to handle the third, an unexpected player enters the scene. This mystery man turns out to be Jack, a local boxing promoter who's seen something special in Tommy's raw fighting style. He makes Tommy an offer that's straight out of a movie, $600 to step into an underground boxing ring. But Tommy, he's nobody's fool. He counters with his own terms, $150, take it or leave it. The deal gets sealed with a handshake right there, with Dawn, the restaurant owner's daughter, watching it all go down. Tommy steps into a whole new world the next night when he visits the underground fight venue. There, Jack introduces him to Noah, his new trainer, who doesn't sugarcoat anything. "This isn't just a fight, kid. It's war. Forget about fairness. Nobody here plays by the rules." And speaking of rules, Tommy's first opponent, none other than Black Death himself, a fighter with a reputation for fighting dirtier than a mud pit. Just when Tommy's processing this news, he bumps into Romano, a familiar face from school. Romano's eyes go wide when he hears who Tommy's fighting. "Watch out for his right hand," he warns, clearly concerned for the newcomer. The atmosphere is electric when Tommy enters the ring, though not in his favor. The crowd's practically foaming at the mouth for Black Death. From the opening bell, it's clear why he earned his nickname. Black Death comes at Tommy like a hurricane, throwing elbows that split Tommy's temple and even landing a brutal shot below the belt. The referee might as well be a statue for all the good he's doing. But here's where it gets interesting. Black Death starts running out of steam, and Tommy seizes his moment. With a series of perfectly timed attacks, he does the impossible, sends Black Death crashing to the mat. The crowd, who moments ago wanted Tommy's blood, erupts in wild celebration as he raises his hand in victory. The next day, Tommy meets Mr. Horn, the big boss, to collect his hard-earned cash. Horn, clearly impressed, tries to recruit Tommy for more fights, but Tommy stands firm. "I appreciate the offer, Mr. Horn, but I'm not interested. All he wants is his 150. Nothing more, nothing less." Later, when Dawn discovers Tommy's new career choice, she can barely hide her disappointment. The only thing that seems to comfort her is learning it was just a one-time deal. Tommy means it too. He has zero interest in becoming a regular fighter. But fate has other plans because Jack shows up with another urgent request. Mr. Horn wants to meet again that afternoon. Something tells us Tommy's one-time deal might not be so simple after all. Just when Tommy thinks he's having a normal chat with Horn, the truth hits him like a sucker punch. Those debt collectors? They're Horn's men. And here's the real gut punch. Tommy's dad is back to his old habits, gambling away everything, with the debt now skyrocketing to a whopping $155,000. "I bought the debts," Horn reveals coolly. "What's mine is yours now." But Horn's got an ace up his sleeve, a way out that involves Tommy stepping back into the ring for a few more fights. With his back against the wall and his father's debt hanging over him, Tommy takes the deal. What choice does he have? Life throws another curveball when Tommy, heading home from Horn's place, stumbles upon his classmate Lincoln getting jumped by gang members. Without thinking twice, Tommy jumps into the fray, but they soon find themselves seriously outnumbered. After a heart-pounding chase through the streets, they finally shake their pursuers. During their breather, Lincoln opens up to Tommy. Turns out he's not just another high school kid. "That's my lady, Laura Lee," he says, revealing he's already a husband and father. Like Tommy, Lincoln's fighting in the underground circuit to keep food on the table for his family. Curious, Tommy shows up to watch Lincoln's fight that night. His friend takes a beating from a monster of an opponent, but manages to pull off an incredible comeback victory. The whole thing gets Tommy thinking, who exactly is Horn, the puppet master behind all this? That question leads Tommy to Noah's doorstep, where he learns the fascinating truth. Horn isn't just some rich guy throwing money around. He's a former world heavyweight champion with an almost perfect record. His only loss? He avenged it so brutally, his opponent never fully recovered. But even champions fall, and a devastating leg injury forced Horn to hang up his gloves. Multiple surgeries later, time had stolen his prime years, so he turned to promoting fights instead, making money the safer way, pulling strings from outside the ring. Dawn's been missing Tommy at school, and when she finally tracks him down during training, he comes clean about everything. The family drama, the debt, and why he's back in the underground fighting scene. "I've got to fight 4 more times," he admits. Instead of judgment, Dawn offers understanding, and soon they're inseparable. Life takes an unexpected upswing for Tommy. Not only does he have Dawn cheering him on at every fight, but he's found real friendship with Romano and Lincoln. The three of them train together, hang out, and form a tight bond that makes everything seem a little brighter. But then comes that horrific night, the night that changes everything. Romano's in the ring against a fighter called Shortcut, and at first, it looks like an easy win. Romano's dancing circles around him, completely in control. But in round 5, something sinister happens. Shortcut, when nobody's looking, coats his gloves with some mysterious substance. What happens next is like watching a horror movie unfold. Shortcut locks Romano in a chokehold, forcing him to breathe in whatever's on those gloves. The moment he lets go, Romano's not the same fighter anymore. He's stumbling, his eyes unfocused, completely defenseless. That's when Shortcut shows his true colors, unleashing a savage beating that's less like boxing and more like torture. He's not just fighting, he's enjoying Romano's suffering. Tommy can't take it anymore. "Stop the fight," he screams, but the referee might as well be blind. In desperation, Tommy does the only thing he can think of, sprints to the bell and rings it himself, forcing the nightmare to end. But it's too late. Romano's already unconscious in his corner, looking more like a broken puppet than the skilled fighter he was just minutes ago. Later that night, Tommy gets the strangest call from his dad, acting like it's just another day, casually chatting about delayed plans and unfinished business. The disconnect between this normal conversation and the horror Tommy just witnessed makes everything feel even more surreal. The night that started with hope ends with Tommy wondering just how deep this dark world really goes. The hospital corridor feels endless as Tommy heads to Romano's room the next day. The doctor's words hit like a sledgehammer, brain dead. His friend, who was full of life just yesterday, now lies motionless, trapped between life and death. Fate deals Tommy the perfect revenge card when he's matched against Shortcut. "How's Romano? Is he dead yet?" Shortcut taunts, showing zero remorse. But this time, the tables turn. Tommy's ready for Shortcut's chemical warfare tricks. He's studied every dirty move from the Romano fight. In a twist of irony, Tommy decides to fight fire with fire, delivering a brutal low blow that has Shortcut howling. What follows is pure vengeance as Tommy unleashes hell, ending the fight in the first round. Justice served, cold and hard. But the underground fighting world isn't done taking victims. Lincoln, Tommy's last remaining friend in this brutal game, suddenly collapses during training. The diagnosis is chilling: brain damage from a previous fight, with doctors ordering at least days of rest to prevent permanent damage. Just when Tommy thinks things can't get more twisted, he spots his scheduled opponent fighting someone else. Confused, he confronts Horn, only to discover a nightmare scenario. Horn wants him to fight Lincoln. "You're going to fight Lincoln, and you're going to beat him," Horn declares coldly, "and I'm going to make a lot of money." Tommy's blood boils at the idea. With Lincoln's brain injury, this fight could be fatal, but Lincoln, he's not backing down. The night of the dreaded fight arrives, hyped as the biggest showdown in underground boxing history. Dawn's there in the crowd, but the electricity in the air feels more like a funeral march to Tommy. While Lincoln's practically breathing fire, Tommy looks like he'd rather be anywhere else. The opening bell rings and Lincoln explodes into action, throwing everything he's got at Tommy. But Tommy, he's like a ghost in the ring, refusing to throw a single punch. Even when Lincoln drops him to the canvas, Tommy just takes it. This passive resistance drives Lincoln crazy. "Go ahead, hit me back," he demands, frustration pouring out with every punch. The crowd's getting restless and Horn's getting angry. After all, nobody pays to watch a one-sided dance. During the break after round 2, Horn makes a move that crosses every line. He grabs Dawn and turns to Tommy with a chilling threat. Either start fighting for real, or Dawn pays the price. But Tommy's caught in an impossible choice. That diagnosed brain injury of Lincoln's is like a ticking time bomb. One solid punch to the head could be the last punch Lincoln ever takes. The ring has never felt more like a cage, and Tommy's running out of options. Backed into a corner, Tommy throws one punch at Lincoln, just enough to keep Horn's wolves at bay. He tries reasoning with his friend. Horn wants us to kill each other. For what? So he can get richer? But Lincoln answers with his fists, landing blow after blow to Tommy's head. Something snaps in Tommy. If Lincoln wants Horn's money this badly, fine, let's go all out. But then something magical happens. Lincoln finally sees the light. This doesn't feel right, he realizes. And in a powerful moment of defiance, he stops the fight cold. Horn explodes into the ring, face twisted with rage, ordering Lincoln to finish what he started. When Lincoln stands his ground, declaring he's done being Horn's puppet, the promoter snaps. Without warning, he launches a devastating punch that sends Lincoln flying out of the ring. That's the last straw for Tommy. Standing tall in the ring, he calls Horn out for the monster he is. The challenge is simple. If Tommy wins, his father's debt vanishes. If Horn wins, Tommy becomes his slave forever. Horn agrees, adding one brutal condition: no gloves. The fight starts with Horn, the former champion, treating Tommy like a punching bag, showboating and humiliating the young fighter. But Tommy's got something Horn doesn't expect, a brain to match his heart. He studies Horn's every move, waiting for his moment. First comes the setup. Tommy lets Horn hit his head, breaking the ex-champ's finger in the process. Then he plays Horn's own game, taunting him until rage clouds his judgment. But Tommy's masterstroke? Faking a broken right arm, only to unleash a thunderous surprise punch followed by 13 more devastating blows that put Horn down for good. In one glorious moment, all the debts are settled, all the chains are broken. The final scene shows Tommy celebrating his hard-won freedom with Lincoln and Dawn by his side, proof that sometimes the good guys do win.